Alright, I'm going to share with you my secret weapon when it comes to getting a party to do what you want. When you're a DM and you want the party to do something that they would never do, to go a place they would never go, to fight a guy they would never fight, to infiltrate a stronghold they would never infiltrate because they're not stupid, to do something completely out of character, this is how you get players to do whatever you want. To walk into the most blindly dangerous situations you can think of. You know, to send them into the tomb of fucking horrors, even after their last party got wiped out there and they vowed they would never fucking go in there again. Works every time, I fucking promise you. Every time. And I almost don't want to tell you because this is one of my best tricks, and I get the feeling it's going to go around. But I've already shared it elsewhere, so I'll tell you what it is. If you want the party to go and do anywhere you want and do anything you want, fight anyone you want, steal from the party. Steal something. Just, that's it. I swear to God. Just, and it can be anything. It can be as subtle or as blatant as you want to make it. One time, the party, this is a different game than Death Clock, but it happened in Death Clock as well. One time, the party emerged from a dungeon that, you know, there was a shrine to a cultist god, you know, the serpent god or whatever it was, and they looted this dungeon. They had all sorts of, like, you know, ruby statuettes and gold figurines of snakes and cursed shit and magic shit, and I said, you know, there were treasure chests full of silver pieces, because these guys were very big on silver, so they had like 3,000 silver pieces in huge trunks. So they went and they bought a wagon. They brought a wagon back to the dungeon. They loaded up the fucking wagon. They covered it with a tarp, and they go to town, and they go to the tavern. And this was actually really stupid of them. They didn't post a guard on the cart, but had they posted a guard, I would have done the same thing. But all of a sudden, they hear a commotion outside of the tavern, and somebody is stealing their cart. And has stolen their horses. So, like, they all rode to town on this fucking cart. And I think one guy had another horse. And so, they stole their wagon team, and somebody else stole their horse. And they were like, like, seriously, you had never seen a group this mad. They worked hard for this shit, and I stole it. And so they had so many. How did they know we had silver? And so I actually had a reason for that. I was always planning for some, like, this was something that happened to me when I first started testing Ultima Online. Was there used to be a big problem, maybe still is, I don't know, but there used to be people who would wait outside of dungeons and camp there and attack parties leaving the dungeons and take their stuff, because they'd be all weakened. They didn't have potions. They'd be low on health. They'd be low on magic and shit. So they were easy pickings. Why do the work when you can just pick on people coming out of the dungeons and take their shit? So these guys it was a group of thieves who saw these guys in really swanky armor with really fancy swords, you know, guys in really swanky robes, wizards and shit, with a really great horse and shit. So they heard them talking loudly about their preparations to go to this dungeon and raid the shit, and so all of a sudden they saw them, you know, loading up a wagon, and they weren't being as circumspect about this as they probably should have. So I had the Thieves Guild members, like 5 of them, follow these guys to the dungeon, and they decided they couldn't take them in a fair fight, so they followed them and waited for a moment of weakness, waited for them to camp, or waited for them to leave the cart unattended, and they stole the wagon. So they tried to give chase. They stole another guy's horse, and there was a really cool, like, running fight. You know, a wagon chase as 2 of the guys got on horses and started chasing, and they were lobbing arrows back and forth. It was really exciting, but I had the cart get away. So these guys, they would attract these motherfuckers across heaven and earth to get their money back. And really, in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't that much money. It was a few $100, you know, by the end of it. And they kept the really expensive stuff on their own person, but the trunks of silver, you know, so in the end of it, it was like 600 gold pieces total. It was a lot of money, but it wasn't like But it was theirs. You know, it was their money. I sent them across the fucking country finding this fucking wagon. Because it was theirs. And you don't do that. Now, you don't even need to be that grand about it. You don't, like, that was over the top. You know, that was stealing their entire spoils of war for this dungeon. You don't need to be that. You don't. All you need to do is steal something. In the Death Clock campaign, I had somebody steal Joe's coin purse. I had him roll an intelligence check. I had a thief roll a pickpocket check. Thief made his, Joe failed his. And I say, later on, you reach to pay for your drinks and your money's gone. Motherfucker. He got up. He's like, can you pay for... He told the party to pay for his drinks. We're going to go kick some heads in. They went down there. They went to the Undercity. They were like, we're going to find the Thieves Guild. We're going to find the motherfucker stole my coin purse. And he's like, it's very distinctive because Lord Vane carries a very distinctive coin purse. It's a velvet coin purse with a big V on it. So, like, if anyone's seen this shit... So, like, they were going like fucking Miami Vice, you know, going through the Undercity just hassling innocent people, like throwing, they're like, anyone seen this coin purse? Throwing the guys they perceive to be thieves against the wall. What, have you seen my coin purse? Just going ridiculous, you know. So sure enough, eventually, some halflings, and this is where they started to hate halflings, a gang of halflings I called thug halflings, flagged them down, and they said, yeah, we've seen it. We've seen it. We know the guy. He's been flashing the money around. You had a lot of money in there. What was it, like 55 gold pieces? He's like 60. And they're like, yeah, dude. They didn't say dude, but they're like, yeah, there was this guy at this opium house. He's been flashing this money around like crazy. And it's a red velvet bag, right, with a V? And Joe's like, yes, it is. Take me to this place at once. So, you know, the halflings, they can you see the problem building up here? The halflings lead him through some alleys, and they point over there, and they goes, in there. We're not going to go there because it's dangerous. And Joe's like, I eat danger for breakfast. And so he walks down the alley right into an ambush because the thieves set him up. And so they set him up, you know, it was this huge ambush. There was no way they could win. And they basically humiliated Lord Vane and I forget who else. And basically made them strip all their weapons and armor. And they basically left them in their underwear, you know, humiliated and alone. And so then they was really mad. So they, you know, when you steal from the party, they immediately stop thinking straight. Rationality and reason out the window. I guarantee it. Over any amount of money, they will follow that motherfucker to the ends of the earth. If you give them a clue to follow, they will follow it. Like, let's say they find, in the place of their coin purse, they find a silver ring and a distinctive path. They will show this ring everywhere. They'll be like, you see this shit? They stole like 10 gold pieces from me. It's really is unbelievable. Try it. If you're running a game, try it. Steal anything. Steal a coin purse. And if they get caught, they get caught. They catch a pickpocket that turned them in the city guard, no harm done. Whatever. You know, you tried, they caught it, whatever. You don't be unfair about it. You know, had they left a guard there, I would have just said the thieves included a first level mage. He would have tried to cast sleep on the guy from a distance. If it worked, the guy fell asleep at his post and they stole the shit. You know. You know, at one time, I swear to God I did this. I had, there was a group of goblins who, it was winter, and they were very, very cold. And so instead of attacking the players, they simply stalked the players until they camped and stole their boots because they were cold. And they stole anything else that was warm, like their furs, if they had any furs laying around. But like I say, you know, everyone except the guy on watch, and the guy they left on watch, because the goblins purposely waited for the most dense-looking guy to be on watch, the fighter whose perception sucked. And so I had him roll his perception against their stealth, and he failed. And so I'm like, well, they stole. You wake up, and almost all of you are missing your boots. wow. They were like, do we go back to town and get more boots? And they're like, no, if we do that, they'll be long gone. We're gonna find these motherfuckers, track them, track these bastards. They're wearing our boots. And I'm like, well, probably not, since your feet are way bigger. And they're like, they're wearing our boots. Look for our boot prints. And so, sure enough, they were wearing the boots, and they tracked them, and they tracked them through the fucking tundra, you know, basically barefoot. They wrapped, like, I'm like, you realize you're going to get frostbite if you keep doing that. They're like, we're going to wrap bear skins around our feet. Who's got a bear skin? And so they're like, I'm like, okay, so you're tromping through the fucking forest and the snow. You got skins wrapped around your feet, and you're fucking pissed. And they find the goblins, they beat the shit out of them, and they took their boots back. But I could have sent those guys anywhere. You know, maybe the goblins hole up in another shrine to some forgotten god, or they hole up in some, maybe they're the put upon slaves of a group of hobgoblins. You know, maybe they're actually hiding in a barracks of some orc clan, and so by following these guys to get their boots back, they've accidentally they've accidentally stumbled right into an orc barbarian horde, and so like all of a sudden this has become way more difficult. You can have them do anything. And you can have this be as small or as big as you want. Let's say, one of your characters has an heirloom, or something that, like I brought up earlier, having some kind of clue to his father's murder, some kind of sapphire pendant. You could have that all of a sudden be missing. And I guarantee you that character, and this will actually be a good reason to go, tracking down the ends of the earth to find this thing. But yeah, anything you can think of, they will follow. Anyway, and all you have to do to get them to go anywhere is give them a direction. Say they saw something. Give them a description of somebody who stole it, or say they find a panicked set of tracks fleeing the other way, or they hear some kind of distinctive laugh, or I don't even know what, or they hear a voice, or they hear whispering, or something like that. And you don't even have to make it make sense. Let's say you want to be unfair. You could say your character wakes up. Just say one character, one. Let's say the fighter. You wake up and your boots are missing, and he goes, "How is this possible? Weren't you on watch?" And you, as the DM, go, "Yeah, he was. Damnedest thing. I don't know how that's possible." So I wouldn't suggest being unfair about it. But if you want that to happen. Honestly, I wouldn't be unfair about it and just have, like, no matter what they do, the boots disappear, or whatever you want to disappear. Give them a good reason, or, like, have something. Another good thing is to have something lure them away, or, like, have a noise. Have the goblins be really crafty. Maybe the goblins start, like, rattling cans or making ooga booga noises in the forest. With the wizard wakes them up. And they're like, guys, there's something in the woods. Let's go check it out. And so they go check it out. And while they're checking it out, the other goblins, the first party goblins making the noise runs off. And they're never going to find him because they got these little holes, And so, but the other group of goblins that's hiding moves in to the abandoned camp, steals their shit, and runs. So you don't have to be unfair about this. It's all about misdirection. Very simple stuff. Made you look ploys that you get them once. Maybe twice, but you don't want to do this a lot. This is not the sort of thing you want to do over and over again to get them to do. But it's one time to get them to do anything you want. And I would only do it one time, because otherwise it's not fair. Unless they're making deliberate fools out of themselves. But don't do the boots thing more than once. Don't do the steal the coin purse thing more than once, because otherwise it's going to be a cheap ploy. And they're going to know that you're breaking their balls and being pretty unfair about it. And that's when you start to get unrealistic. They start to suspect they're on the plot railroad. But one time, they'll buy into it immediately. Just do it. Swear to God, it really is the easiest thing. I just did it by accident one time, where I stole. That was how it started for me. Was I stole their wagon, and I just saw the look of utter hatred on their face when some assholes had the sheer unadulterated balls to steal their stuff that they had rightfully stolen. That shit was not going to stand. And then from there, I just kind of progressively scaled it back to see what was the minimum I could do to steal their shit. You know, one time I want to do is have one character wake up and have a huge chunk of his hair missing. Like, just to like shave off like his bangs, or like I don't even like shave off his mustache. I don't know how that would work, but like all of a sudden like a piece of his hair is missing. It's like really obviously missing, and the guy's like, "What the fuck? Why would they? Who stole my hair?" You know, I do kind of want to see if I could eventually pay that off. But now that I've explained it, I can never do it again. Maybe not. Maybe if they've never seen the videos, I could do it again. But it really does work. But just don't be unfair about it. This is they can't know about this trick, otherwise they won't do it. And I may have just blown the trick for all time by explaining it to you, which is why I didn't want to do it. But yeah, one time, just do it once, and I guarantee you excellent results.